And I think that's what's so beautiful about the book writing process is we actually kind of reclaimed the book itself and with our 7 steps. So we started with an idea. It kind of adjusted, evolved along the way. We did that like a gut check as well. One thing that was really hard for me is we actually took 75 pages out of our book after we wrote all of these pages.
And we were so proud and so happy to release our baby. And then it was like...
It was very hard, but it was important for us because we wanted it not just to be words, we wanted it to be substance. So how can we reframe these pages and how can we make sure that we're reclaiming the most important pieces that we want to communicate to the larger audience?
Yeah.
Welcome to Reframe and Reclaim. We are Courtney Huckabee, a psychotherapist,
and Jen Harris, an interior designer who have teamed up
to reflect,
challenge,
and reframe your mindset in relationship with your personal belongings.
Join us as we discuss and declutter all of the stuff that keeps us stuck.
Learn to intentionally create environments with improved function and design that cultivate peace of mind. Find the reframe.
Start your reclaim. Hi, I'm Jen Harris.
And I'm Courtney Huckabee.
And we are Reframe and Reclaim. And today we're here doing our podcast. So we're trying to just share a little bit more about ourselves and our mission. And today we're going to be discussing the writing process.
Yes.
So Courtney, was the writing process what you thought it was going to be?
Not really. No, not at all. No, it was really exciting. Jen had this idea and came up with, all these questions about our belongings, and we started having conversations, and we were like, let's write a book. But the idea we thought it was and the practice was a little bit different.
And I will say, and I'm sure this is for most writers, for the first time you're doing this process, it can be very intimidating. You don't really know where to start or what to do. So we really had a lot of talks about what we envisioned for the book, what format we saw it in and how we thought it could be most helpful for people. And then really started doing our research and trying to figure out next steps.
Yeah, so I think, we had a lot of conversations around, the topics we wanted to discuss, the different ideas that we hoped that would come out of the book. And it was really kind of fun because we had an idea in the beginning, and then what we came up with and what happened at the end was a little different, but I think a lot better.
Oh, yes, for sure. Because how it started out, so like Courtney was saying, we had these conversations, and if you've listened to any of our other stories or seen our social media, you'll know this kind of started with me looking at being introspective and looking at myself and my family and how we view our belongings and how to kind of break through those cluttering obstacles and excuses we tell ourselves. And, so Courtney and I were having conversations. It's like, this could be a good book, and as we started writing, it was my story versus, Courtney's expertise and why we do these things. And then we were like, for people at home, how would this be more beneficial? And then there was the idea of like the case studies. And then through those case studies and just as we were working through my things as well, we came up with the whole reclaim process, and we're able to use our reclaim acronym. And, that all morphed as we were writing. So that was very exciting for me.
Yeah, I think the most exciting part for me was actually after we came up with our 7 steps of the reclaim process, having people who trusted us to practice this, because we didn't want to write a book and theory, like this is all the great stuff you can do. But I actually really loved seeing how each of our clients changed their perspective and reframed their mindset or reclaimed each of their different spaces. When I saw that in action, I was really excited about our book.
Yeah, and how quickly too. Like it's almost that instant gratification and motivation. So as people were able to see it didn't take as long as they thought it would. Right. That was one of the big things, and one of the really surprising things. I know before you've said that people, one of the things that kept coming up was, I don't want to be wasteful. I don't want to be wasteful. So we started seeing all these key habits within people, but that same click was the same with people where it was like, oh, this didn't take as long. It's faster than I expected, but also how they felt, how quickly they felt better about their space was one of the most rewarding things for me. So
yeah. And I will say, you know, with our clients who we worked with in our book, but also the clients I work with in the office, it's very common to hear, you know, I purchased these things, I don't want to waste them, I want to use them, or somebody has gifted me these things, I don't want to offend anybody by letting go of this, or, you know, what will it mean if I don't have this in my belongings or my possession anymore? And really working through that process with the clients in the book, with the professional help as well of using space and design and functionality from Jen's background in interior design. I think it's just so cool to see the psychology of how we see ourselves and how we imagine our life or our home with how it can be reframed and refunction in a better way.
Yes. And I think it also reiterated for me from a design standpoint. I've always kind of been on the, you know, form follows function kind of ideology of design. And this kind of really brought that home, where if the space is beautiful but not functional, then it's just going to fall apart and become disorganized and aesthetically unpleasing. So really looking at the function and then taking a step back and saying, is this still working, or what needs to be tweaked, and being open to that. I mean, I think that's one thing in the book process we noticed. You have to be adaptable because what you think will take, you know, oh, we can get this done in a weekend is, you know, again,
revisiting it and revisiting it. Yeah.
Weekends and
I think that's what's so beautiful about the book writing process is we actually kind of reclaimed the book itself and with our 7 steps. So we started with an idea. It kind of adjusted, evolved along the way. We did that like a gut check as well. One thing that was really hard for me is we actually took 75 pages out of our book after we wrote all of these pages.
And we were so proud and so happy to release our baby. And then it was like...
It was very hard, but it was important for us because we wanted it not just to be words, we wanted it to be substance. So how can we reframe these pages, and how can we make sure that we're reclaiming the most important pieces that we want to communicate to the larger audience?
Yes. And then other learnings too, you know, as other writers can probably attest to, when you're reading it every day and in it, or just in your job, right? Like you see things that other people don't, and you're like, oh, I get this. And as soon as it went to an editor, it was like, hey, does this all flow and make sense? You know, we came back with questions of like, why is this repeated here? Why, you know, just needing further information. And then we realized, oh, we really need to clarify a couple things so that way the end user can use it most optimally. So
I know. And whenever you have something that is you're so passionate about, you work so hard to create, and you have somebody coming back with questions or feedback or new ideas, it can be really tough to really hear it and figure out, okay, what do I want to do with this? So there were many times that we heard back from our editor and we're like, I don't know if I agree with this, but as you sit with it, it's really not about how it makes sense to me, but as a person outside of us and our ideas, are they making sense of it? Is it helpful for them? Is it clear for them as well?
Yes. Something else I learned is Courtney does not like conjunctions. So that was something.
Yes.
We had fun with that one.
Yeah. So,
and I love a good run-on, you know, so we work together.
Writing styles are different, and our ideas are sometimes different, but I think that's what's been really wonderful is, you know, we're personal friends, and now we're professional colleagues, and it's kind of fun to be able to learn each other's personalities and learn each other's preferences and be able to also work together. And that's a part of our book too, is when you have one space that is just yours, how do you compromise? How do you meet each other's needs? How do you make sure everybody's feeling heard? And we really had to practice that a lot as well in the book writing process.
Yeah, and I had to practice that at home too as we were going through the book writing process. Because, you know, I took a step back through the whole writing of the book and, again, the introspection. And it was like, how is my behavior and my relationship with things affecting my other family members and those around me? And is that worth it? You know, what do I value? Would I rather, you know, have things less stressful for everyone in the house, but I'm having to not necessarily sacrifice, but, you know, make more of an effort to keep less in the space, you know, and that has worked out really well for my family.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I will say the book writing process was not what I expected it to be, but I have grown so much personally. I think you kind of get humbled a lot with the effort that gets put into the book writing process. It's not as glamorous as you imagine or see in movies of these authors on little retreats and stuff. A lot of Monday nights after the kids went to bed, or a lot of weekends where we just locked ourselves in my office. We had some fun in it. Of course, we're friends. But it was a lot of hard work, but I think that's why I'm so proud of it, is because it was hard and we kept persisting, and we're really proud of the product we have.
Yes. And I will say one of the big takeaways for me is through the whole process is I'm usually very like, oh, are people going to like it? And what is, you're releasing it out to the world, and what are people going to think? And for me, I'm so proud of it and the work we did, and that I'm so proud that to me, it doesn't matter. And I just hope it helps people. And that's really the intent behind it is, we did this work and we hope it can help others who are struggling with the same issues. So,
yeah. And this is not a book for hoarders or collectors or people who, have too much stuff. It's for anyone. And I found a lot of things that I have taken away from our book writing process, and things that I've practiced in my own home as well. And we continue to go through this. Part of our last step is maintain. And maintain isn't keeping everything exactly how it is right now, but it's sometimes looking at, does this function, like Jen talked about earlier, is this functioning for this current life chapter? Is this functioning for our current need in our home? And reevaluating that from time to time. And so I'm really hopeful that this book is something that's helpful. Being a professional mental health provider, I want others to feel supported and encouraged. And it's just so cool to see how you can take something from the office of mental health and take it into the home of design, and they can actually work really well together.
Yes, because your environment has so much influence on your everyday life. And so, I'm that's one of the biggest keys for me too, is I'm excited to see that blend. And I think that's something that's not really addressed in the market today. So I think that's one thing that can really help people push through those boundaries that they've struggled with in the past. So did you always think you'd be a writer? Did you always want to write a book?
Never.
Yeah?
No. Like, I love talking. I love communication. I love hearing people's stories. I think that's why I'm so passionate about my job, being a mental health counselor. But I didn't ever foresee writing a book, really. What about you?
I did in third grade, and it's but I wanted to I was going to be an Olympian. I was going to be an astronaut.
Sure.
I was going to write a book, all those things. But then once I got into the nitty gritty of it, I'm I like math better, I didn't, that dream kind of fell to the side. And then it really kind of, resurfaced as we had our discussions, and again the driving force is really, could this be helpful for people? So because we found it helpful.
So you don't have to be set out on being an author to become an author. And we will say, we worked with a company that was really helpful in getting us connected with editors and audiobook recorders and book cover designers and things. And so we were able to have a team behind us, and so we didn't have to figure it out all on our own.
Yes, especially the whole setting up the Library of Congress and the ISBN numbers. I felt for me that was the very daunting part, is how to get this out into the world, and they were able to take care of that side of it, so we could really focus on the meat and potatoes of the book.
We can focus on the book and the product, and then they helped us get the word out there. So we're out there on online retailers, in stores. We have an ISBN for the libraries, and that was just something that was just really helpful for us to be okay, we really can do this with this support.
Yes. I think something else to keep in mind if you're thinking about writing a book, a couple things. One, I think everyone has a voice and has something helpful to say. And sometimes in life we feel like it's just me, only I feel this way. It's very isolating. And if you reach out, there's actually a lot of people that feel the same way or are looking for the same advice. Or even if it's just a fun story, right? People are looking for escapism. So I think if you have a story to tell, or just have something you want to share, I think it can be helpful to others.
Yeah.
So
if you have a story, write it. Mm-hmm. Somebody will want to read it and hear it. And if for anything else, like Jen said, we're proud of this book, and we're proud of what we made, and we just hope that other people will like it. But if you don't like it, that's okay. We do.
That's right. Another unexpected fun part, because I'm with Courtney, I love to talk and conversate, and doing the audiobook was something. So number one, I thought it was going to be way more glamorous and in a studio, and I'd just be reading my book, and it'd just be wonderful. And it's like, no, you're in a closet, and like you can't have a book because the pages are too loud, so you're reading from your computer, and you got to be this far from the microphone, keeping all these things consistent with each recording. And but the fun part of that is listening back, because I don't know about you, but every time I hear my voice, it's always kind of cringe, and I'm like, I don't like how I sound. But if you use a professional and they do all the audio levels, we sound fantastic. I think I sound fantastic. I think both of us sound great. I was pleasantly surprised.
I am an audiobook listener. That's kind of how I do my reading. As a mom, it's hard to find time to open up a book and concentrate. So usually it's like on the go in the car, or, when I have a couple of minutes, before bed. But I do like how our voices sound. Mm-hmm. And so, again, when you have the right equipment, when you have the right environment of that walk-in closet with all of your stuff everywhere, to, absorb some of that sound, it's kind of cool. Like, again, with the support and the professionals, you can do that too.
That's right. And now, like, our voices are always ingrained. They're always going to be out there. Our kids and grandkids can go listen to us.
Oh, that is so sentimental. Jen's a sentimental one in us.
It is.
But again, the book writing process, how long did it take us from start to finish?
Well, start to finish, so it all kind of started in October of 2021 when I started being more introspective. But then we didn't really start writing till the following year, and it was here and there because we really didn't have a lot of time together.
Ideas.
Yeah, we lived 3 hours apart. We were just putting some things down, but we didn't have a full outline or anything like that yet. And then really in December of 23, we really started hard and heavy. And so it was like a year of intense, 6 months of really intense writing, and another 6 months of like the editing and the going back and forth and fleshing out the final product. With
all of the case studies too. So as we're writing the book, we're practicing the 7 steps with different clients who are trusting us to practice this with them. And that's all in the book, which is really cool. So if you're not so sure how this might look for you, you can see how other people went through the process. And for about a good 6 months of writing a book, but another year or so outside of that, the whole process, it takes a little bit of time, but we forever have our ideas encapsulated forever in history.
Yes, and that is a very good feeling.
It's
a very accomplished feeling, feel very proud. So, and then getting to, the book launch was very fun, to release it to the world and have everyone see what we'd been working on since we hadn't been going out the last year and a half.
No, we had, and everybody had heard. Our friends, our family, some people in the community heard about us doing this thing, but for them to be able to touch it and for us to be able to say, look, there's a product we have, not just all of our ideas we've been working on. It really was fun. I loved our book launch parties.
Yes.
It's kind of fun to just say thank you to our husbands for all of the sacrifices of time and understanding and compromise for, a couple of years of us trying to get this done.
Yes.
And then, to all the people who trusted us with the reclaim process, we're very thankful, because without them, we wouldn't have a lot of the substance of our book to be able to practice those 7 steps in real life. Yes,
very true.
Yeah. So, do you think we were going to write another book, Jen?
Not for a while. Let's launch this. I'm never say never, but yes, I would. So I could see us doing workbooks and things like that. And that brings me to another point of the book, though, that I really like, is it's written in a way it's intentionally written in a way where you can jump to different chapters.
Yes.
If you're like, I don't really relate to this excuse. I don't really just hold on to everything, but I'm really sentimental. And I can go to that chapter and start working through things. And it's also self-led. You know, it has questions posed for you so you can go at your own pace and really take the time to reflect and change your mindset before you start tackling the room. Because I know I'm like one of the types where I'm like, I just want to go in and do it and let's get it done. And taking that extra time to really reflect makes a huge difference.
Oh, definitely. I think you're doing it less haphazardly. If there's more of an intention and a vision and, you know, the end game you're looking at rather than let's just like throw things up somewhere.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Well, we hope you enjoy our book, Reframe and Reclaim. And we're excited to share more with you through our podcast. And hopefully we'll see you out in the community sometime too.
Yes. And if you have any questions about the writing process or you're interested, feel free to leave us a comment and we'll get back to you. And yeah, I definitely think everybody should at least, you know, think about it and see if it would be a good fit for you.
Yep. Till next time, reframe
and reclaim. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to us with Reframe and Reclaim at our podcast. If you are interested in more information about our book, you can find our book at any online retailer. You can also find us at reframe-reclaim.com.